Welcome back to the Empty Nester Life podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jackie.
And I'll attest to that. Great to have you back.
We're so glad you're here.
We're here.
Hey, today we are once again excited to be here. And just as a quick little recap, our Empty Nester Life podcast is just a place to have real talk, real conversations about all the things that you deal with once the kids have grown up and moved out.
Yeah, when you did the drop kick and kicked him right on out of there, this is why this podcast exists. That's a short way of saying why we have the Empty Nester Life podcast. It's the drop kick. I'm not sure where that came from. Okay. Oh, because we actually did that.
You did not.
I'm kidding.
He's in rare form today, which is probably a good thing. Today, we are going to be talking about how to help your adult children find their groove. Okay. You've overdone the drop kick.
She's mad at me now. Which is probably pretty good reason.
Yeah. It's pretty much a fine line. This is kind of how it rolls between the two of us. Like, yeah. I think he's funny. And then he understands that I think he's funny. So he pushes it just a little too far. And then I'm like annoyed.
And then I bomb, which I love to do too.
I mean, welcome to the Tates. Okay.
What are you going to do?
So anyway, today we're talking about helping your adult children find their groove. We want to talk about specifically
specifics?
Before we get into that, I should tell you that if you're going to have a podcast, it's really important that you can talk. That's an important skill. Good.
Noted.
Apparently I did not get that memo today.
No memo.
I need more coffee.
More coffee.
But we want to talk about supporting your kids without smothering them, encouraging them without controlling, and letting them grow at their own pace.
Nicely done. Yeah. It's tricky. It is. Once the kids have moved out, it can be a little tricky. Of course, I wanted to go back to the drop kick thing, but then I know I'd make her mad. Anyway, it's a little tricky, and so that's why we want to talk about this, because they're adults at 18.
Yeah, and it's really hard to go from, you literally have to transition from the person who is not only, it's your job to tell them what to do and to give them rules and guidelines and to keep them within those and to, appropriately teach them how to behave. And then all of a sudden, that's not your job anymore. You lose that job. You're fired. Do your best, you're fired.
Yeah, it goes from when you're, worried about them getting to school on time at 8:00 to like, okay, well, hopefully it's transitioning well. She couldn't get to school on time. Hopefully she can get to the job on time. And so you have that little bit of a worry. And I always used to say every morning I'd have a kink in my neck. Like, oh no, another tardy.
Yeah, seriously. No. And you're just trying to get your kid through school. But that's a good point. Like, from something as, I was going to say mundane, but not really mundane, just routine as getting them out of the house on time, making sure, they're not late and all those good things. And now all of a sudden they're on their own. It's their job to get to class at their college. You have no idea. You have no idea if they're making it to class or not. Unless you have Life 360, then you can kind of see.
They're not going to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. They'll do the old like, I left my phone in my dorm room. That's why it looked like I slept until noon, when really they did sleep until noon. So we don't know. But because Life 360, right? Like, I just want to make sure, like, what is leaving their phone?
Yeah, I love Life 360 because then I can see where everybody is at all times.
I saw this meme. I'll try and find it. It was like a TikTok or something that other empty nesters put together, and I thought it was so great. In fact, I think I reposted it on our TikTok, so it should be easy for me to find it. But they go through all the things they can do now as an empty nester, and then the last thing is like checking the Life 360 to make sure all the kids are home safe when you go to bed. And I'm like, yeah, I relate wholeheartedly.
Let me just say this about tracking apps. I got to go down a rabbit hole. I don't care. You know why? Everybody's tracking us. We get our picture taken every day. I don't know how many apps are tracking me. I just said, yeah, Life 360, whatever, one more. I don't have a problem.
Yeah. At
And
least
where am
we're-
I going to go anyway where somebody's going to be upset? And then maybe I run into some problems. Oh, that's where they are. Let's go.
Yeah, like that time you and Dave went out on, what did you go out on, motorcycles or off-road vehicles?
Electric sort of motorcycle thing. Sondors. And then we ran out of batteries
Yeah, they ran out of batteries. And so
in this wilderness area in
Dave's
Flagstaff.
wife, Kay, is texting me like, hey, have you heard from the guys? And I'm like, no. And we look on Life 360 and we're able, I mean, it was a thing. Obviously made it home safe because here he is.
Cracked us up. Cracked us up.
Okay, so that was a rabbit hole down Life 360 tracking app.
Yes.
Anyway,
Anyway, where do you want to go?
back to the program, not sponsored by Life 360. So first and foremost, I just kind of want to talk about when your kids launch into adulthood. I think it's really tempting for us to want them to have it all figured out. But the truth of the matter is they're not going to have it all figured out. I mean, I don't know about you, Mark, but I'm 50 and I don't have it all figured out.
I didn't have it all figured out. Just a little bit of kind of my story. I got thrown out of the house at 18 back in the day. And 3 weeks after moving to Arizona, and I did not have it all figured out, but there was a certain pressure, obviously, to try and survive and not live in my car, which thankfully it didn't happen to me.
But I think before we jump into that, just the societal pressure on kids overall today, right? I mean, like the societal pressure that we had on us was totally different than the societal pressure that our kids are facing today.
Everybody wants to be somebody.
That's true.
You know, people want to be successful. People want to have a story that they can be proud of. And it starts the day you move out. Like, what did you do? I mean, if they run into a classmate, at a reunion in 5 or 10 years, what'd you do with your life? And I think that's part of that pressure that, and some people don't care. And I think that's probably don't care is the best way to go. But you also want to have a fruitful life and a life that you can be proud of. And that, maybe down the road, you can share it with someone and they can say, oh, that's cool. That's bueno.
Back when we were in our 20s and 30s, the pressure looked a lot different. For a man, it was go out, be successful, get a career.
Be the breadwinner.
Be the
Get
breadwinner.
married.
Yep.
Be the breadwinner. Have some kids.
Yep.
That was kind of the thing.
Yeah. And that was kind of the thing for me too. I mean, and I'm sure most of you listening have similar stories because I'm sure you're kind of similar age, Gen X or Boomer. And that was the deal. And of course, like I remember when I graduated high school in the 90s, the pressure was a little bit of a twofold. It was go to college, get your degree, but it was also get married, have kids. There was kind of that two-track, one or the other or both type thing. Whereas now I think our adult kids are actually way more pressured not to have kids and to go out and do, kind of spend their entire 20s on their own and then in their 30s maybe get married, have kids or whatever you want to do. But I don't know that there's even the pressure for that anymore.
I don't know. It really was about being valuable. And I think there's still a pressure to be valuable to society. And unfortunately, maybe that affects our self-image. Kids today are definitely different. They're motivated by different things. They seek different things. They care about different things, and not in a bad way.
Yeah, just change.
I think there were, aberrants back when I came up and Jackie came up, and there's aberrants now. But then
Sure.
The general population, I think ultimately they figure it out. And I think they get more traditional as time goes on, but everybody starts out a little bit radical with their own ideas, and they don't really know if those ideas are going to work or not. So, they're out there trying to find their groove. It's all about where's my groove, and we want to show them or help them show them maybe, but really more just continue to foster them towards finding their groove in life. And it's not just about their professional life. It is
Right.
about their personal life, understanding who God is and those sort of things. So those are all the things that I think we try to foster and we try to counsel them on. But ultimately, the groove they find in life, the groove that we found in our lives, the balance we found in our lives, it comes back to us.
Well, and that kind of brings up a point that I think as parents, you feel a little bit of pressure for your kids to have it figured out. When you talk to other parents and your kid, I know when I run into some of Sophia's parents' friends, that she had people that graduated, and there is a little bit of pressure, like, well, what's your kid doing now? And you don't want to say, yeah, they're kind of floundering around still trying to figure it out. But I think that's part of why we actually want to do this podcast, is because it's okay if they're still floundering around and figuring out. Not that Sophia's not floundering around. That's not my point.
No, definitely not floundering around. At least we don't have to say she's doing 3 to 5,
Oh, stop.
or anybody, any of our kids. Okay. It's a joke.
Gosh.
But it's a blessing
man.
Not to be able to say that.
Well, yeah, right. I think
3 and 5.
This is a podcast about keeping the bar really low.
Down in Florence.
Hey, as long as your kids aren't in prison, you're doing good. No.
Good point.
It's all good.
Good point. Maybe they set the bar a little bit higher.
Okay, so we digress. So basically, your kid has ideas as to what they want to do, what they want to be, where they want to go, how they want to live. And I think it's really important that as parents, once they are adults and out on their own, our role really shifts from telling them how to do that to supporting them through that. Big difference. So talk a little bit about that, Mark. Like with the kids, with our kids specifically, I know we have really tried, and I'm not saying we always knock it out of the park, but we've really tried to just support them, support their goals and their dreams, and not really project our stuff onto them.
Well, they're ducklings. If I can give a kind of a pond analogy, they're ducklings. They think they're full-grown ducks. Okay, but they're ducklings, so it's a matter of pushing them out into the pond a little bit and let them swim around a little, and to see and understand that maybe they don't have all the answers. Because I remember when I was like 16, I had all the answers. Then when I got to be 18, I didn't have any answers. And then I got to be 24, I had all the answers. And then I got to 26, I didn't have any of the answers. And I think if you have a good relationship with them now, and you didn't just helicopter them or hover over them all the time, they do come back to you for advice, and they come back to you as a sounding board. And so really that's what we kind of end up being, as a sounding board. I do have a problem, though, of ending the conversation with instruction. I still have a problem with instruction. I can be like Jackie. I say to Jackie sometimes when I got mad at her, I go, "You're very instructional." In other words, you're really telling me what to do and what to be. And I don't know that people, like Jackie was basically saying, I don't think people really react really well to just, okay, here's what you do. Because I have all the answers. Jackie has, we don't. But we have experience.
Yeah, and I think that's where it comes into play, is using your wisdom, knowledge, and experience to help guide them, but not to tell them what to do. Because, the truth of the matter is as they're figuring themselves out as adults, the more we try to control what their journey looks like, the more they're going to push away and not really want to maintain relationship with their parents.
Well, it's the psychology of the conversation, okay? So we know if we instruct them to go a certain way, they're going to go the other way. So if there's a way we want to go, the last thing I do, I think psychologically, because I'm a real deep thinker. And
Sorry.
What? Why would? So I'm a deep thinker. And so I think to myself, well, if I tell them to do this, they won't do it. But if I don't spend too much emphasis over here, the thing I really want them to do, and I'm not saying I'm right, but the thing I really want them to do, I don't push that so much. I just kind of like, it's on the horizon. The subject has been broached, right? But don't, you like to do the Tommy Boy,
Oh, the
analogy.
Tommy Boy analogy. Oh, before we jump into that, I do
Into
want
Tommy Boy.
I do want to say I think it would be a fun game. At the end of every Empty Nester Life podcast episode, just put in the comment section, how many analogies did we use? Because I think we're up to about 5 now. So, okay, go ahead, Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy, you do it. You do good Tommy Boy, like when,
Well, usually I use
you're
that
too attached.
Yeah, like usually I use that in sales, but I see what you're saying here because it does kind of apply to our kids and like when you hold on too tight. So, in that scene in Tommy Boy where they're sitting in the diner and they're trying to get food and he's got the little basket of rolls.
Chris Farley.
And he grabs the roll and he goes, this is like my sale. And I get my sale. You're a nice sale. And I pet my sale. And then I get so excited about my sale that I just, and he crushes the whole roll up and the waitress is looking at him. I think that's when she goes, you're psychotic. So, I mean, but it's a funny.
It's funny.
It is a funny illustration as to what truly happens when we want something so bad. If we hang on to it too tight, we destroy it completely.
And it rolls over to them too. If we want something so bad for either one of the girls, I think it ends up kind of exploding and blowing up, and the rolls all over the floor. And the only one happy about that would be Zoe. So
Zoe would be in seventh heaven if the roll was all over the floor because she'd be on cleanup mode.
I mean, it's the reason we have dogs.
I mean, that's her job.
To clean up, oopses.
So let's just, like, what we're really kind of talking about here is emotional support versus micromanaging. So we really want to encourage you as parents, and we encourage ourselves and have to remind ourselves all the time, to really give the kids that emotional support that they need versus trying to micromanage the process. Your kid comes to you and says, I want to, I don't know. What's a good example?
You give them a soft hug rather than a bear hug. And basically they come to you, and rather than, again, going back to being harsh or judgmental, it's a matter of supporting them. And what you always do is you go, okay, it's kind of salesy. It's kind of like, I understand what you're saying. Have you considered this?
You're right. I do say that a lot. Have you considered?
Have you considered?
I use a lot of those kind of terms. Sometimes you have to give your kid advice. You can't help yourself, or literally you go, okay, if I don't give this advice, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night because I can see where this is going. So a lot of times what I'll do is I listen to them. I don't lead with the advice. I listen to where they're going and all of those good things. And then when it's time for me to pop in my advice, I will say, is it okay if I give a little mom advice? And usually they'll kind of go, yeah. And I'll say, listen, and this is the important part because I mean it. I will say, I'm going to give you the advice. Whether you take the advice or not, that's up to you. No judgment, but I have to say it.
Yeah.
So it's something I am giving advice. I'm not giving instruction. There's a big difference. So I'll give the advice. Well, hey, you might want to look at XYZ, or, as you're talking about this, one of the potential problems I could see maybe coming up is, and kind of go down that route and say, so maybe in order to avoid that, you'll want to do this. But again, it's your thing. And if that sounds reasonable, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Yeah, and they'll try to walk down the same alleys, and as parents, you remember their alleys probably better than they do. So you can just give them a perspective on the alleys that maybe they're going down that they've already walked down. And sometimes the alleys can be nice and bright, and that's a really good idea. That's a great idea. Remember before how you were successful, or remember before how that turned out. It wasn't great, right? Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. What's different now? Why would it be different now? Well, here's why. Well, that's great. I think you've solved the problem. You should go down that alley if you want to.
Right. And another thing too is, like, as they're going through this process, it's helping them. It's helping to encourage them by encouraging small wins. So, for example, one of the things we were talking about is, your kid gets their degree, they're all excited, and now it's time for them to find the path that they want to go down. Where do they want to work? Where do they want to be? And they come to you with an idea. You know what I really want? I want to pursue this career. So you kind of back into it by saying, that's great. Have you started to research who's hiring for that? You know what kind of companies are hiring for that? Okay, great. Have you submitted your resume? Not yet. Do you have your resume? Not yet. Okay. Why don't, what would be a great idea? I'm more than willing to look over your resume once you get that put together. If you want to send it to me, I'm happy to proofread it. So now the small win is getting the resume, even though we know that the big win is getting this, ideal career, whatever, entry level, whatever they're after. And again, that's just a career thing. It could have to do with friends. It could have to do with living situations. It could have to do with joining a new church. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. And so encourage independence. But I want to say this, failure is inevitable.
Yes.
Failure is inevitable. I've had failures in my life. Jackie's had failures in her life. It's a learning experience, and understand they're going to fail. So don't freak out. Don't all of a sudden go, oh no. Maybe they have to come back and live with you for a little bit. Maybe they do. It's a different world financially out there. I will say that.
That's true.
It's way more expensive than when I remember the first apartment that I ever rented. I think it was $245 in Sin City in Tempe, Arizona. And it was 200 some bucks. Now there were roaches and it wasn't pretty, but it worked. And then I remember another apartment, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 4 guys, $425 a month.
Ooh, I can't even imagine what that bathroom looked like.
I can't remember it either. I think I was not wearing my glasses very much.
You blocked it out.
I blocked it out.
But that's actually a really good point. It is more expensive today. And obviously you can look at just numbers and say, well, inflation, because
but it's not even close.
Even though you were making, you were paying $250 in rent, what were you making, et cetera, et cetera. But no, it's exponentially, it's a skew. Right, what it costs to live versus what you can make, especially with entry-level jobs or things like that. So
we've helped them. We've helped them financially, and you have to help them. I think you have to help them financially if you can. If you can't, then you got to sleep on the couch.
Yeah, bring them back.
Sleep on the couch. What's the difference? You did it for 18, 20 years. Another couple of months until they get their feet, their feet on the ground, and they maybe get some savings and that sort of thing. Then it is what it is. If that's what it takes, right, to launch them, right? It's the failure to launch that is the real problem. As long as they're setting themselves up and trying to launch, that's the key. Now, if they're doing something completely different and they're staying in the room all day and you're enabling them, you're crippling them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big difference between, I like that you brought that up, because it's absolutely true. There's a difference between our adult kids who are trying to make their way and they're trying to find it and they're trying to get in their groove versus our adult kids who are scared to get out there. So they just want to sit in their room all day and play video games and scroll TikTok. You're crippling their future if you're enabling them to just lay around, be lazy. You're buying all the groceries. They just, they
don't even clean up after themselves.
Right, they appear out of their room just in enough to raid the refrigerator and then take everything back in there. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, if they're living in their house, they're still under your rules. And your rules are, you establish your own rules. And one of the big rules is you're trying to find a job. We were fortunate. Neither of the girls were those people.
I think we did. And that goes back to when their time at home was, we encouraged them to learn a good work ethic. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely.
They both had jobs in high school.
Yeah. They both had jobs in high school. That was a non-negotiable for us, because they had to learn how to
assimilate in society. Yeah. And the other thing is too, is when we made them have activities, in high school too, or even in junior high. They were involved with extracurricular stuff just because the socialization process and, connections and learning how to work with other people. So again, if you're a younger parents and your kids are still young enough and they're, not really engaging with the world, find a way to engage them and make it mandatory.
Yeah, and that was it. We made it mandatory for them to be involved in something, and we said we don't care what it was. It could be sports, it could be music, it could be chess club, it could be anything. We didn't care.
And we're proud. We're proud of you.
Yeah, we're proud of them. But for us, it was you had to have something outside of what was mandatory in your classrooms, and for exactly that reason is so that they weren't coming home from school, throwing their book bag on the couch, hiding in their room and getting depressed. That was something that we knew was an all too real possibility if they weren't involved in some extracurricular activities. But again, we weren't pushing them to say, well, it has to be sports, or it has to be dance. Like I was a ballerina when I was a little girl, so you have to be a ballerina. No, it was none of that. It was find your own groove. There you go.
I should have been a ballerina. I don't know why I never. Yeah. Something to ponder, I guess.
Well, I've seen you dance, honey. I don't think you would have had a good time there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Sorry. One thing is in terms of giving support and what it actually looks like, one of the questions we have down here that I think is important is when you're talking to your kids about these types of things is asking them, what kind of support do you need from me right now? Because they'll tell you. It doesn't have to be, you don't go like, well, I think they need financial support. I'm going to write them a check. But maybe that's not what they need. Maybe what they actually need from you is just more of that emotional support or something.
Yeah. It's not that. Yeah, I mean, we used to fuel them up with Twinkies and Cocoa Puffs in the morning and then just send them off their way.
That's so not true. So let's offering perspective, not pressure. I think that's another really important point. I think we've kind of covered that, but I just wanted to put it in that way. We don't want to pressure our kids into doing something. Again, we have to fight the urge to say, hey, what they do reflects on me. And again, they are going to fail. And failure is actually a necessary part of the process to getting to success no matter what you want to do. It's like working out in the gym. When you're working out, you're building muscle. You have to break that muscle down in order to build it up. It's the same thing with some of these failures that can happen. They teach character. They teach ways not to do it.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess I'm just, I didn't know if you had anything to put in there.
No, it was another analogy, though. I wanted to point that out.
I know. We're good at them. Okay, so encouraging independence, not instability. I think we've kind of talked that through.
Yep.
And letting go of timelines. So, we're going to have timelines. And, for me, I will tell you, my idea of a timeline is I want to see them be financially, not necessarily successful, but just self-sustaining as quick as possible. So that, they're not coming back and going, hey, can you loan me some?
It depends on the kid, but I would say, you kind of want them to be in their profession or be a professional. And it doesn't happen overnight. Like they both were servers and hostesses, and you can't be the GM overnight.
Right.
And so you got to have a little patience there, I think, with their careers versus, you feel like my kid could run this place. Probably not. So having the patience, letting them build their resume, build their experience, their walk with God too. Like, they have their own journey. I had my own journey. Jackie had her own journey. We want to get them all the way to, they're scholars, biblical scholars, but that's in a journey again as well. They have to
make their own choices.
Yeah, make their own choices and gather information and understanding and memorization, whatever it might be. And the same thing with personal relationships. We want them to be happily married with, 4 kids apiece, self-sustaining. Sundays they want to get together and have dinner.
Yeah.
We want all that, but
that's not what it looks
it's
like.
all just a process, and they'll continue to progress. I always love this. It's progress, not perfection.
Right.
They're never going to achieve perfection, but you do want to see some progress. But if you don't, be patient. As long as they're taking the steps, they're going to fill the hole. They're going to fill the hole eventually, right? I was a linebacker, another analogy. And if you saw a hole, they were probably blocking to run somebody through that, fill it. And so they'll find a hole.
Yes. One thing you mentioned in that I wanted to kind of dive into a little bit is dealing with difficult people. So, one of the things is like when our kids come to us and they're complaining about a coworker, a boss, a friend, a roommate, as parents, I mean, literally, my coffee mug, I don't know if you see this, it says Mama Bear. This was a gift from Sophia and for a Mother's Day gift, because that's your tendency. I want to go Mama Bear. When somebody is after my kid or going to hurt my kid, I want to go Mama Bear and protect them. But you know what? That doesn't always help them out. In fact, I would say 90% of the time it doesn't help them out. So I have to fight that urge to go Mama Bear and instead give them the tools on how to deal with difficult people. It doesn't matter, sometimes they'd come to us with stories, hey, this boss did this, and you go, you'd listen to the story and you have to admit, I think my kid kind of brought that on themselves, and it's not going to help them if I go Mama Bear against this other person. But maybe saying, well, what maybe could you do differently to avoid a situation like that in the future?
Yep.
Instead of, always taking our kid's side. And it's not that I don't take the girl's side, it's that you have to eat. And even when they're completely innocent, they tell the story and I'm like, yeah, this is absolutely a lunatic person they're dealing with. They didn't really do anything wrong. But the bottom line is you're always going to have to deal with difficult people. There are lunatics in the world and you're going to have to manage around them. There's no way to completely eradicate people who are going to be difficult out of your life. Instead, you have to learn how to deal with those people and navigate around them. And so you're not doing them any favors if you're always going Mama Bear or Papa Bear.
Reasonable people will act reasonably. So if you're having this conversation and it's not reasonable, some of the stuff are you that exact what that person said? Yeah. So you're dealing with an unreasonable situation and an unreasonable person. And I think if you look at it that way, you can, I think, discern those conversations, because I can't tell you the umpteen times we've gotten this phone call. You wouldn't believe what happened at work today, what somebody said to me, what my boss said to me, what my coworker said to me. Okay. Does it sound reasonable? Yes. Okay. It's probably them. Does it sound unreasonable? No. That doesn't sound reasonable at all. Okay. You got a real problem there. Yeah. That's a tough situation. That might be a game changer situation. That might be a get out of their situation. We've had those too. That's
a good point. Yeah, it's not always something as
it can be a safety thing sometimes. It can be.
It can be.
It can be.
So it's, our job again as parents to help them discern that and just support and encourage them when the time is right. We've had to encourage our kids through leaving job situations because of things that are out of their control. I mean, I'm thinking of one in particular we won't go into, but somebody who really was, one of our daughters was working for someone who truly was doing things behind the scenes that was dangerous, unethical, and kind of illegal, honestly. And so helping guide her through what that situation needed to look like and then supporting her through leaving that situation So it is sometimes not something that you just go, well, suck it up and deal with it. So anyway, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying on the flip side, you also don't want to always be like, nope, my kid's always right. My kid always is in the right and I'm going to defend him to the death. Like, that's not helping your kid either.
Yeah,
so.
You'll be on Jerry Springer before you know it.
All right. So in wrapping this up, we want to encourage you that if you're showing up with love, you're doing a good job. None of us are perfect. No, not one. And we are not ever going to get it right 100% of the time. But that's one of the things I've always told the girls, like, even when I mess up, the one thing I know I can say is that everything I'm doing from a place of love. And I think that's an important, if you can balance what you're doing and ask yourself that question, am I doing this out of love? Well, even if you get it wrong, then it'll be okay.
And understand that these situations, questions, counseling, cheerleading is going to come up. That is what is going to happen. And I think prepare yourself for them. How will I respond? Rehearse in your mind. Rehearse with your spouse. What if this happens? Do the whole what if, the Hewlett-Packard commercial. What if? And so ask yourself these what ifs and rehearse them. And so you understand how you'll respond in a time of maybe crisis, but usually it's the mundane. And all this stuff usually is in the past. It's not as big as it looks like in the moment ever. Almost always, 98% of the time, almost always it looks bigger in the moment.
Yeah.
So keep your cool. Don't let your emotions get involved. What do you need? How can I support you? What is it that would make this situation better? And then reason and talk through it and use common sense.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
And also just want to encourage patience with the process, both the process with you as the parent and then also the process with your adult child. There's going to be bumps in the road and there's going to be times when it's less than ideal.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, the groove is hard to find sometimes. Sometimes I look back at my life and say, did I ever find my groove? No, I think I did. Because I found Jesus, or he found me. So yeah, the groove was found, but a lot of times it takes a long time to get and find that groove. And that groove is sometimes elusive. But I'll tell you what, the journey is always worthwhile and the growth is always going to be there because you're striving for your groove. Another great way to say groove is goals. Make sure your kids have the goals, make sure they have the foresight. It's kind of like the idea of going to college because I'm going to be an accountant. And guess what you get? An accounting degree. You don't get a broadcasting degree, you get an accounting degree so you can get in the groove of accounting.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, if your kids are thinking about going to college or they're maybe in their first or second year and they're not really sure what they want to do or where they want to go, I would encourage them to really find their passion. What do they think they want to do? Because you can think you want to do something at 18 or 20 years old. That's going to change drastically, but not really a fan of hey, just go to college for college's sake and, you'll figure it out later, and if they are in that situation, then encourage them to go after a degree that can serve in a lot of different industries, a marketing degree, a business degree, a finance degree. Those are the kinds of things that you can use almost universally, whereas they really don't know what they want to be when they grow up. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole and get a degree in underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking about a joke, and
Oh, no.
It's actually good. Like I was going to say, I always wanted to be a puppeteer. But here's the thing. There are some puppeteers that do quite well. They may have something that is totally off the wall. They want to be a musician. There's a ton of starving musicians, but there's musicians that have done it for 40 years. If they want to do something off the wall and they're outstanding, they're exceptional at it, for their age, they're in a different league. Man, I'll tell you what, if we had a kid that wanted to be a puppeteer and they were world class, what can we do to support you?
Yeah.
What can we do?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartly.
Yeah. I think we try to put them in a box, and I think don't put your kids in a box. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't put them in a box. Let them, and it's fun. Let those little ducks paddle out into that pond. Hopefully there's no alligators.
Jeez.
Hopefully there's no alligators out there.
That's a dark.
And the thing is that you're going to want to put them in a pond. If there's alligators out there, warn them.
Yeah.
Warn them.
Yeah, I agree. So we want to invite you to ask yourself, what does my child need from me this season? Do they need space? Do they need structure? Or do they need support? Mm-hmm. I would also want to encourage you to not put your expectations on your kids in terms of, not just where they're going in life or what they want to do, but also how they're communicating with you. You may need to give them space. It's true that your kids may move out. Maybe you had the type of relationship with your parents where you talked on the phone every single day, and maybe your kid isn't doing that. You know what? That's okay. Give them the space and the freedom. It doesn't mean they're rejecting you. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just means that maybe they need a little bit of space to figure some stuff out. So, find not only the support you can give to them that's going to make sense between you and them uniquely, but also the communication between them that's going to help grow your relationship and not put really heavy expectations on them. So I don't know. I think that's all I got to say about that.
I think I'm about wrapped up too.
Okay. Well, we were going to tease our next episode, but one thing we've kind of noticed is that if we tease the next episode, sometimes we want to change and shift gears. So we're just going to tease it by saying, make sure you tune in next week to the Empty Nester Life podcast, where we're talking all things real talk about what you're going through in this age and stage of your life as both a parent or just a human being in this phase.
It's been fun. This has been enjoyable. It's almost been a walk down memory lane. So I hope maybe this has been a walk down your memory lane where you've said, oh yeah, that's true. That's how I did it. So I think maybe, that was great. We are so happy you tuned in.
Yes, and we have some business to wrap up.
Okay.
Don't ever forget. We got to wrap up with the business. We tend to forget this. But we're very excited. We have a new website. And if you go to emptynesterlifepodcast.com, you can engage in our new website. So be patient with us because we're still getting it all built out. But
emptynesterlifepodcast.com.
Yep.
I like it. So all our podcasts are going to be on there.
All our podcasts are going to be on there.
This is brand new today. I just learned about this today too. So we're all learning as we go, because when you're building something, but she's great at this stuff.
I like to surprise him. So yes, go to emptynesterlifepodcast.com, and also make sure wherever you're listening and or watching the podcast that you are subscribed, that you followed, you liked, and you leave a comment. And if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, please give us a positive review. Let us know how we're doing.
5 stars, 5 stars.
5 stars, please. Or, rate us 5 stars and then leave us a comment like, hey, you're almost to 5 stars, and here's how we think
but we gave you a 5-star.
But here's how we think you can, kick it into high gear.
Yes.
And then last but not least, we want to hear from you. I mean, actually, this is the most important thing. It's definitely not least. It's last and most important. We want to hear from you.
Great.
Definitely leave us your comments, your concerns, and give us ideas for future episodes or what questions you might have that we can explore on future episodes. With that being said, my name is Jackie.
And I'm Mark.
And this has been the Empty Nester Life podcast.
See ya.